Everybody's girl. What's the point in being everybody's girl? Maybe you think that way, there's no chance getting hurt. Living for no one costs me way more than it's worth.
Welcome to Window Dressing's mini Twin Peaks season, Women of the Woods. I'm Madeline Jane Auble. This episode's woman is barely a girl, and a dead one to boot. Laura Palmer, played by Cheryl Lee, is the center of the show and the sacrificial lamb of society's ills. Her twin cousin Madeline, or Maddie as she is nicknamed, acts as the living iteration of the last of Laura in this week's episode. I recommend listening to the first installment of Women of the Woods if you need a Twin Peaks refresher before listening to this episode. Laura Palmer is the lead because she is what all girls want to be, free. I'm not saying death is the only path to freedom practically. Still, it most definitely is metaphorically, especially in a world of cruel gender dynamics and even crueler expectations of young women by other women and men alike. The torture that Laura's soul is made to bear, the torment that graciously ends with her death, the outpouring of grief that should have been applied to her life, is acknowledged only through her death. The loss felt by the town is a forced acknowledgement of her inner turmoil. The mystery of who killed her and why is everyone else's individuation process. Laura is an amalgamation of what others see her as. If you are a woman, that should sound familiar. We are what people decide we are. Laura was very good at playing those roles, pretending to love her cheating boyfriend, playing the dutiful daughter at home, being the object of borderline sexual sadism for Leo, and having an affair with simple James. A boy with opposite expressions of desire than Leo, but similar in how narrowly defined the role for Laura is. The most seen and desired girl in town was, in fact, invisible. The series opens with Laura's dead body. A frozen-faced beauty wrapped in plastic like a bouquet of roses, hair wet and tendrilled like a cold water siren. Her body washed up on the rocky shore of the river outside of Pete, Catherine, and Josie's house. Josie owns the mill. She is the widowed bride of Catherine's brother, Andrew. Pete is Catherine's fisherman husband. They hate but love each other, as sometimes happens in life. Laura's body is found next to a giant piece of driftwood, a section of pine that is so large it makes it clear that the life in the woods is much larger than that of the human inhabitants of town. Blood speckles the inside of the plastic next to Laura's naked body. Deputy Andy cries like a baby, and so does Pete. It seems Doc Hayworth, Donna's dad, and the town doctor shed a tear too. The biggest pain is reserved for Laura's mother. She, like Laura, has the gift of second sight. The sensitivity gives way to visions and intense emotional knowing. When she realizes Laura isn't in her room or with her boyfriend or father, she seems to know the worst is true. The tears and screaming she erupts in is one of the most felt displays of loss I have seen on the small or big screen. It's hard to understand how a woman so deeply attuned to human emotion and truth could have lived with her daughter's killer and been utterly blind to it. But then again, evil tricks us all. Laura's daddy, Leland, is just as oblivious to the evil in him as his wife is. When he finds out about Laura's death, he is crushed. although in much less a visceral way. He simply says, "My daughter is dead." When Agent Cooper gets to town to investigate Laura's death and Ronette Pulaski's near death, he begins with her diary, which turns out to be one of two diaries. Both reflect parts of her, overlapping at times to contain the whole her. Coop finds a safe deposit box key inside an empty bag of cocaine in diary number 1. Diary number 2 is still very much a secret. The safe deposit box contains cash that was owed to Leo Johnson as part of a drug deal. More specifically, Laura had convinced Bobby Briggs, her public boyfriend, to sell cocaine to school kids so she would have a convenient connect. But it is in a video found of a seemingly innocent picnic with Laura and her best friend Donna, played by Laura Flynn Boyle, that Coop realizes Laura was in love with someone other than Bobby. In the black of her eye, a reflection of James's motorcycle is discernible. James may have loved Laura, but she did not love him. How could she? He is the simplest type of man, a good guy with a roving eye and zero emotional maturity. Next to Donna, James is my least favorite character on the show. The love between James and Donna conveniently blossoms after Laura's death, which, by the way, is a treachery of the highest order. Speaking as a woman who has been the other woman more than once, which I am not proud of, I will say that falling into that role innocently is a much worse crime than understanding your impact. It seems that even though both Laura and Bobby were seeing other people, he knew her best. At her funeral, which is an ordeal for all the attendees, including Laura's identical twin cousin Madeline, who came to Twin Peaks specifically for the funeral, but stays for the intrigue and sexual attention she gets from sad boy James. After the nonsensical sermon delivered by the loquacious priest, Bobby says loudly, and with the emotional force usually reserved for soothsaying mothers of the dead, "What are you looking at? What are all you waiting for? You make me sick. You damn hypocrites make me sick. Everybody knew she was in trouble. But we didn't do anything. All you good people. You want to know who killed Laura? You did. We all did. Pretty words aren't going to bring her back, so save your prayers. She would have laughed at them anyways." This speech makes Bobby one of the most honest and emotionally satiating men on the show. He wants accountability, he wants truth, and he wants it all for a woman whose standards he couldn't live up to. That is some kind of intelligence that you don't usually see in such an attractive teen. It's worth mentioning that my image of Bobby Briggs is shaped in large part by Shelley's love for him. As soon as Laura's in the ground, her double, the opposite of her shadow, her living, breathing, innocent self, Madeline Ferguson, takes shape. Madeline is the conciliatory brunette who helps cauterize the wound of Laura's loss before becoming a victim herself. Her last name is Ferguson, as if John Ferguson, Jimmy Stewart's character in Vertigo, had married the poor man's Madeline, Judy, and they beget a child that he named after the woman whose ghost still haunts him. Maddie, as she is sometimes called, has a whisper of magic in her dark curly hair, but a cherry Coke brand of innocence when measured against Laura's Diet Coke and cocaine kind. Madeline's mystique, Vertigo Madeline, not Twin Peaks Madeline, has much more than Americana-themed soda fountain drinks. She has emerald eyes and ghosts in between her thighs. That brand of Madeline is visible in Agent Cooper's dreams. In them, Laura is a grown woman, a femme fatale with a patina of pain not relieved even through death. She whispers in Coop's ear who killed her. The kiss, intended to seal the message, comes first because things are running in reverse in the red room of Coop's dream state. He doesn't remember who killed Laura, but he is pulled deeper down the path of discovery by her black silk gown, side-swept hair, and red lips. Donna and James recruit Maddie into a Hardy Boys-esque investigation into Laura's death. They all meet at the Double R Diner. Maddie is dressed in a blue and white striped sweater, a motif that follows her character. Donna looks like a cross between a Girl Friday and Nancy Drew's sporty friend. Her hair is up with a turban-style headband holding back the stray hairs. She is wearing a brown, fuzzy sweater over a burnt sienna-colored button-up blouse. It's a very strange look that can only be described as tomboy secretary. The conversation starts with Donna playing adult with an oratory she delivers to Maddie while her boyfriend James falls over himself to get the other Laura a cherry Coke. James's mental tryst with the brunette version of Laura is obvious and a garish humiliation to Donna, who, for all her faults, does not deserve to lose James twice to the same woman. Donna says, "James and I knew Laura better than anybody did. She was in some kind of terrible trouble before she died, worse than any of us could imagine." The purpose of Donna's self-important speech is to ask Maddie for help in their investigation into what really happened to Laura. Maddie agrees to help. The motivation to dig deeper into Laura is in part a way to connect to each other, cementing a bond that only existed because of Laura, and excitement into the illicit life of a secret 17-year-old. Donna is jealous. This isn't just misguided, but it is also offensive given the way she speaks about and almost blames Laura for her own death. If it isn't clear yet, Donna's naivety and way of relating to Laura bothers me. Perhaps because I'm jealous of her and her protected existence. Bobby meets with Dr. Jacoby at the behest of his mother and father. His father is a wise secret agent military type, and his mother is a homemaker with warm eyes and soft blonde bangs. Jacoby, the Hawaiian-obsessed psychiatrist of Twin Peaks, is wearing his signature sunglasses, featuring one red lens and one blue. He asks the very slickly dressed, for a high school athlete, Bobby, what happened the first night he made love with Laura. Bobby is wearing a leather members-only jacket, the zippers of which seem to be a constant plaything for his idle hands. Outraged, he asks, "What the hell kind of question is that?" Jacoby says, "Bobby, did you cry? And then what did Laura do? Did she laugh at you? Were you very sad when Laura died, Bobby?" Bobby simply says that Laura wanted to die. She said people tried to be good, but they were really sick and rotten, her most of all. And every time she tried to make the world a better place, something terrible came up inside her and pulled her back down into hell. And took her deeper and deeper into the blackest nightmare, and every time it got harder to go back up towards the light. Poor Laura, not knowing that so much of the female experience is exactly how she described it to Bobby. She was hardly alone. Had she had someone less naive as a best friend, I'm referring to Donna here, perhaps she wouldn't have lost the light completely. But more accurately, if her dad hadn't killed her, she wouldn't be dead. While Bobby is crying with Dr. Jacoby about how mean the dead girl was, Audrey is actually getting something done. Her motivation for figuring out the connections between Laura and One-Eyed Jax is pure. She loves Coop and wants to help him. And although she didn't like Laura, she understood her. Those are her words. She manages to get herself hired at One-Eyed Jack's through the perfume counter to Bordello pipeline. She names herself Esther Prynne, like the Scarlet Letter heroine, and begins an ill-fated investigation that leads to the truth about her father and to a heroin addiction for her. Madeline finds a cassette tape inside the banister of Laura's bed frame. It is a recording of a session between Laura and Dr. Jacoby. The tape gives rise to suspicions that he could have killed Laura, at least among Donna and James, who honestly are far from the sharpest tool in the shed. The three devise a plan to lure the doctor out of his home to search it for evidence. This doesn't really lead to much. They find another tape, but Jacoby is a red herring, and James and Donna are really just playing out some sick savior fantasy using Madeline as bait. Maddie dresses up like Laura. It's her look for this ruse that compels me to recount the scene. She wears a blonde wig with big bangs, a gray tweed coat with a pale pink fringed scarf over it, and a floor-length floral dress with white knit gloves and black combat boots. She looks like a grunge prom queen with a heart of gold and a purse full of cocaine. This Laura, look worn by Madeline, is perhaps the most quintessential Laura Palmer look of the series. Costume gets directly at the heart of a character, and there is something about seeing Maddie as Laura that makes it clear who Laura was, and why Donna and James are playing at protecting their already dead friend. Unfortunately, they have placed Maddie in the role of pawn and victim. Although a willing participant, it seems to me that they are treating her like a living American Girl doll. Jacoby ends up the victim of a beating delivered by a heavy-breathing masked man, and Bobby plants cocaine in James's motorcycle. The one bright spot is a semi-pornographic tape found in Jacoby's secret hiding spot of a coconut shell. The evidence makes it clear that although Jacoby is a creep, he was, and I am quoting James here, trying to help her, meaning Laura. In the tape, Laura talks about getting off when he tries to kill her. The masochism innate in young womanhood is made explicit in Laura's character. This isn't her first foray into pornographic play. Coop and the sheriff found Backpage-style advertisements in Flesh World, ads that Ronette did at Laura's behest. Characters like Donna look down on Laura's sexual curiosity while using it as fodder for her romantic tryst with her best friend's boyfriend. Listen, we have all wanted to be another woman from time to time. The important thing is not to put her down in the same breath that you steal from her lungs. Madeline starts to have visions of Bob and Bob-adjacent things. Her first such vision strikes in the morning while she is having her coffee in a baby blue terry cloth robe with dark blue flowers on it. This is a famous 90s TV robe. Allison of Melrose Place lounged around her apartment in a version of it throughout the series. Maddie sees a smattering of blood on the beige carpet. The fear she feels is palpable and only comparable to that of her Aunt Sarah's visions, Laura's mom. This morning, Leland's hair goes all white, signaling a more powerful possession by Bob, thus explaining the visions passing from older to younger woman. Donna starts acting annoyingly cool post-Jacoby heist. She goes to visit James in jail. She, in James's words, tries to do it with him through the bars. A fact that James shares with Maddie, which once again is a betrayal of the highest order. His sad boy, my mom is a whore act is getting really old. Or as Laura would put it, he is dumb. I can't help but agree emphatically. In an effort to further embody Laura, Donna takes over her Meals on Wheels route. It is on her first delivery that she hears about a Mr. Smith, a shut-in, or agoraphobic as is the actual term, who was Laura's friend. Donna leaves a note with her number. On this particular occasion, she is wearing an orange sweater, a denim jacket, and a down vest, just to set the scene. In a seemingly incongruous scene set up to set the tone of the budding attraction between Maddie and James and the heart-wrenching betrayal of losing the man you love to the same woman twice, the girls sing backup to James's guitar and syrupy sweet melody. Surrounded by the blush wall-to-wall carpeting of Donna's living room, her and Maddie both make eyes at James, until Donna stops long enough to see them making eyes at each other. Donna storms off. At the same time, she gets a call from Harold Smith, the shut-in friend of Laura's. James follows Donna, leaving Maddie alone in the living room. She looks blankly into the dining room, where Bob appears and approaches her rapidly. She screams hysterically as Donna and James rush to comfort her. The positioning of Maddie as Laura's twin romantically, the rival other woman, places her more closely to Bob's original victim, Laura, the victim he has been working up to for 40 years by way of Bob's host, Leland Palmer. While Maddie, James, and Donna are playing love triangle, Audrey has returned from the brink of death. Rescued from an induced heroin addiction at the Canadian brothel One-Eyed Jack's. In addition to finding out her daddy owns that brothel, Audrey also finds out that her daddy slept with Laura and, according to him, was in love with her. It seems the whole town loved Laura, although I would question almost all of their definitions of love. It seems for Daddy Horn, Laura was the daughter he could fuck. For her dad, she was the same. For James, the pretty blonde that acted as a gateway to Donna, and for Bobby, the beard for his affair with a married woman. The night Laura died, she had 2 appointments. One with disingenuous sad boy James, and another with Leo Johnson and Jacques Renault. The latter, she was a sex object. Although she enjoyed that, perhaps to her it was a clean connection, not muddled with paternal or romantic airs, or worse, the lie of love. That night ended with the third man taking Laura and Ronette to a train car where he murdered Laura, and Ronette escaped. Donna goes to Laura's grave, where she laments about losing James to Madeline, and says, "I wanted so much to be like you, Laura, to have your strength and your courage. But look what it did. Look what it did to you." This is a fun foray into jealous girl victim blaming. Donna isn't the only one who trumpets this theory. While Dr. Jacoby is in the hospital after being attacked by the unknown heavy breather at the gazebo, he says to Agent Cooper and Sheriff Truman that Laura had reached peace just before her death. He says, "I believe that what she in fact arrived at was a decision to end her life." Coop says, "Laura Palmer did not commit suicide." Jacoby says, No, but maybe she allowed herself to be killed." Okay, come on, Jacoby. She wouldn't fuck you, so now she's responsible for her own murder at the hands of her possessed father? Or as Donna implies, her personality got her killed? She should have been a good girl with the innate support of Donna's family, and then she wouldn't have deserved to die. Further compounding Donna's penchant for victim blaming is James, who goes to Madeline for support about his mommy when he couldn't find Donna. This is a fucking classic. She wasn't around, so he immediately went to the next girl. I really think James is gross. The unpaid labor of women continues. Not only does Madeline have to be the other woman, but she also has to play therapist to James. That is, until Donna walks in and catches them in an embrace. This becomes the impetus for her to move full steam ahead with her shut-in crush, Harold Smith. Harold raises orchids inside his home. His key characteristics are being soft-spoken and incredibly controlling over his environment, thus the orchids. He sort of woos Donna in a pickup artist kind of way. For example, when she shows up the second time, the first time being when she left the note, he compliments her sweater. He says something to the effect of, "It's much more flattering than the last one." He is right, and this may be exposition about her effort level, but that feels a little on the nose for a Lynch project. I think it's his subtle, manipulative personality that is equally sympathetic and creepy on display. Donna spends time listening to Harold read from Laura's second secret diary. He specifically reads her a part where Laura talks about how Donna wouldn't understand her sexual fantasies. If that isn't manipulation of a minor, I don't know what is. Eventually, Donna strikes a deal with him. She will write her living diary for him to record if he lets her read Laura's diary. He agrees, but with the caveat that he reads Laura's diary aloud to Donna. That in and of itself seems psychosexual to me. Unsatisfied with simply having it read aloud to her, Donna orchestrates a heist involving her rival, Madeline, but not James. In fact, James doesn't know anything about it. But he does run into Maddie the night of the heist and follows her to Harold's house. The plan is to distract Harold while Maddie sneaks in and grabs the diary. The plan goes awry when Maddie fumbles and makes noise, attracting Harold's attention. Both girls begin to run out of the house, but Harold grabs a garden claw and rakes it across his face. There is something about that particular line of self-harm that feels like a gendered torment when it comes from a man. It's controlling, performative, and abusive when a man does it, but beautiful, justified, and romantic when a woman does. Gender inequity certainly is funny. Harold gives a great speech about thinking he could be in the world, but it turns out Donna is dirty, or something to that effect. Aided by the power of his speech and self-harm, Harold seems to be the victim of Donna's brazen and reckless naivety. But as obnoxious and entitled as Donna is, she is like the sisters in Bluebeard. She had to look in the room she was forbidden to look in, because the truth of Harold is a carefully constructed garden where he plays God and she is his apt pupil. I think this is the self-actualization moment of Donna's character. Harold hangs himself, but not before destroying most of Laura's secret diary. Madeline has come to terms with the pawn Donna sees her as and the uninterrogated eye candy she has been made into by James. She decides to leave and go back to Montana. The night before her departure, Sarah, Laura's mother, slithers down the stairs calling Leland's name and passing out in the living room. Madeline follows, calling both her Aunt Sarah and her Uncle Leland's name. Leland, completely possessed by Bob, comes down and snatches her into his arms. He punches her out and then picks up her semi-limp body and forces her to dance with him around the living room. The father in him is saying, "Laura, Laura," over and over again. The monster licks and paws at the terrified Madeline. This is the tower scene in Vertigo, reimagined in a Pacific Northwest living room, as opposed to the Spanish mission San Juan Bautista. Madeline, like Judy in Vertigo, is dressed in black in this scene, specifically a gray pencil skirt and a black sweater. She is dragged around the room like John drags Judy up the spiral staircase of the bell tower. Just like Judy, the fake Madeline, Madeline, the fake Laura, is snuffed out and disposed of. The very last of Laura, even in the imagination of evil personified Bob and Laura's own father, Leland. is gone. Thank you for listening to my Twin Peaks mini-season, Women of the Woods, Laura and Madeline edition. I will be back next time with either Audrey or Shelley. I haven't decided who comes first yet. Please like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening, and follow me on Instagram at Window Dressing Podcast for additional content. I'm Madeline Jane Auble.